Hey everybody, I am super excited because I am about to jump on with somebody that I deeply respect. And we're not only going to talk about the high five habit, we're actually going to talk about his work too. Now, this is a man that I adore. It is a man that I have learned so much from, and he has written a new book. I got to see if I know how to do this. For those of you that don't know him, his name is Jason Wilson. He is a best-selling author, and I love him because he is an expert in particular in men's mental, spiritual, and emotional health. And one of the most extraordinary things about writing the High Five Habit and seeing all of the you know what? Somebody might want to text Jason because Jason, I don't know if Jason knows, but I'm not going to be able to text him. He needs to just jump on, and then I'm going to you might have to help me do this.
That's fine.
We are waiting for Jason Wilson to join. I'm super excited because there's this big intersection between the work that I'm doing and the high five habit and the work that he's doing with men. And in particular, he's an expert at helping men master their emotions. He's released a new book. It is called Battle Cry. There's a lot of overlap between what Jason does and what I talk about. And so we're going to get him on this live. I see 3 people waiting to request. Let's see. How do I don't know if I can send him a request. He's got to join the live stream. And let's see.
In the live.
He's in the live?
No, he has to be to.
Yes.
Yeah. So
okay.
If he's not in it yet, we can't.
He's not in it yet. I don't know where he is. Okay. Well, how do I get rid of this? Okay. Now you guys are seeing how I am literally so technically challenged and I can't hit that X. What do I do? Hold on. I just closed Instagram. I'm sorry about that. Here he comes. We are on live. Join now and we can chat. Okay. Jason's about to come. And so I'm really excited for you to be introduced to Jason because I first stumbled into him because of his first book, which was called Cry Like a Man. And it was all about men and emotion. And he also has these incredible videos of the work that he's doing with boys and learning how to release their emotion. And so we're going to get him on with us momentarily. Let's see here if Jason has joined. Jason. Why don't you guys go ahead and tell me, number 1, where are you tuning in from? Number 2, do you have the High Five Habit book? Have you started reading it? And what are you getting out of it? Why don't you jump in and tell me that? Is my book coming out in paperback soon? I'm not sure. That's kind of up to Hay House because they're the print publisher. Ooh, I love that. Jane is obsessed with this book so far. High five. Jane, why are you obsessed with it? What are you guys getting out of the High Five Habit? I'm going to just take a few questions while we are waiting for Jason Wilson, best-selling author and expert on men's emotional health. He's got a new book out, Battle Cry. And, you know, one of the things that's interesting is notice how I'm in the middle of my book launch and I'm talking to another author about his book. You want to know why? Because there is enough room in the world for everybody to be successful. There's abundance all around. And so I think the more that there he is, view request. There he is. Jason Wilson is in the house. I think he's coming now. Your marathon story is inspiring. Excellent. I see you, Mr. Jason Wilson. I just sent you. There he is.
Yeah, how you doing?
People our age are technically challenged,
Yes,
right?
Yes, we are.
All right, everybody, say hello to Mr. Jason Wilson in the house.
Hello, everybody. I'm so glad to be here, and I'm so excited about this. I'm so proud of you. I mean, everything. When I saw how high you were on the charts, well, number 1 and 2, right? Didn't you get?
Yeah.
I was just blown away, and I'm just always excited to see you do well because you've been definitely a motivation in my life, and I just thank you just for being who you are.
Oh, well, you know what? I actually feel the exact same thing about you. I know Nicole will not mind me saying that I adore you, Nicole being his amazing wife, of course. But I wanted to talk to you, first of all, because I also have gotten so much out of your work. And I think the work that you're doing with men, and in particular, men's emotional health, is critical. And we'll get to the High Five Habit, which is my new book. But I wanted to take a minute because there was a quote on page 12 of your book, Battle Cry, that I want to read to you. Unless you've got a copy of Battle Cry right there, or Nicole or Alexis or Jason Jr. can hand it to you. Everyone's like, oh my God, she's talking about Dad's book. Where's the book? Where's the book? Right? Do you have a copy of Battle Cry right
I
there?
have it not next to me because I was digging into this.
Okay.
So
Well, I will read your book
I
for
know
you.
it, yeah.
Okay, I'll read your book for you.
All
It's
right.
on page 12. And this one, hit me at the core, everybody. You ready? He writes, regrettably, countless men avoid the process it takes to become emotionally stable, and they remain in self-imposed emotional incarceration. There are many reasons for this, but the main one is our fear of being vulnerable. I often joke that a man would rather run through a burning building than sit with his thoughts and emotions. As platinum hip hop artist Drake says, I pop bottles because I bottle my emotions. Unfortunately, suppression leads to depression. This is why it is imperative that we learn how to evaluate our emotions daily. You know, I read that, and, the suppression leads to depression. That is something that Chris and I have seen play out in our marriage of 25 years. Chris is coming to terms with the fact that by suppressing the emotions that he felt in the wake of his restaurant business, closing its doors and it not doing what he thought it would do, and the sense of failure that he felt after that, that it led him into a very dark place. And so, one of the things that I want to ask you to kind of share with everybody before we jump into the High Five Habit, because, you and I are coming at the same problem from different angles. And the problem being the amount of self-hatred, the amount of bottling up, the amount of self-rejection, the amount of pile driving that we all do. And, men have a particular version, but one of the things that I've been profoundly noticing is that, as the High Five Habit has come out, Jason, we have been hearing from so many men who are saying, I can't even look at myself in the mirror.
That's it. I mean, really, our books go hand in hand because I'm going to be transparent with you right now. So as I was reading it, and it came yesterday when I was able to get into it, I had to stop like at the end of chapter 1 because I realized what I would do in the mirror in the mornings or whenever I saw my reflection. And then, being 51 years old, I'm in good shape now, but you always are looking back to what you used to be. And I share in Battle Cry how we allow our trauma to time travel and how it hinders us from living in the moment. But so many of us as men, we rather shadow box with ourselves than to give ourselves credit for being who we are, trying to be the best that we can. And that all stems from the fact that we don't love ourselves. And that the root issue to that is because we fell in line with the masculine mandate, which is the culture's order of how a man should act. And so here it is, we are comprehensive men. We were created to be nurturers as well, but we've only allowed ourselves to exude masculine attributes. And so when I look at the High Five Habit, I think of sports, and then I wrote about Kobe Bryant when he died. We didn't see him dunking the ball or just being the great athlete he was when he died. What we saw was pictures of him nurturing his daughter and his wife, and his daughters and his wife. And then what the hashtag girl dad went viral, okay? Because men, we are nurturers too. But until we can love that man in the mirror, I tell every man, if you want real love, first start with the person in the mirror. And so for me, just to be real with you, I'm going on a journey for me to wage and win the war within. That's daily, and you know this as well. This is something we're going to keep doing. But I said, man, why is it difficult for me to say, hey, good job? And so as I took time to reflect, Mel, I realized it was because my father never told me, good job. And
Mm.
so as men, so when you tell a man he can't feel the sadness, the regrets, the depression, so now what can he do? So he has to suppress those or repress them, put them away. And now we're drinking. Now we're looking at pornography. We're going into other areas where we shouldn't be because we're denying ourselves our humanity. And that's what's happening. And that's, you know, what you did. It's, you know, what I love about you is that you make deep things simple for people to learn and apply. And that's missing so much in today's world. You know, everyone tries to be deep and philosophical, but you make it practical where we can use it. And that's why, you know, I'm thankful for you, but you hit it right on the head. It's the lack of self-love. And then we can't move past that because we're scared to feel what they would call non-masculine emotions. And so until we can embrace that we are human, that we are nurturers too, that we are
Mm.
compassionate too, that we are patient too, that we are long-suffering too, it's a wall that we'll never be able to scale.
You know, thank you for sharing that. And for those of you that are just joining, you are witnessing greatness. You are watching the most amazing Mr. Jason Wilson. You better give him a follow. You better pick up Battle Cry or Cry Like a Man for the men in your life. I absolutely adore Jason's work. And I first discovered you because of the work that you were doing with boys. And so Jason, I know Jason looks like, you know, you want to go give this man a hug with his wonderful, soft, amazing beard and his big smile. He is a beast, man. When you look at this, when you are in it, is it like in the dojo, in your academy,
Yeah.
where you are physically training boys and you're physically building bodies and strength? You're actually using that as a vehicle to also build inner strength and break through those emotions. And so for you to say that the simple act, and that's what this high five habit really boils down to, being able to stand with yourself after you brush your teeth. Let's wipe the gunk out of our mouth and get the bad breath out of there so we're not spreading that all day. Let's get the gunk out of our mind, body, and spirit. And it sounds simplistic to start your day with a high five. And what you're actually sharing is that it strikes a profound chord.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. So
Because the
it,
gunk could be generational, is what you're saying.
it is generational. So you say here, and I think this is actually chapter 2, and you talk about just kids who simply got a high five. They felt the most positive about themselves and their efforts, and they kept going for the longest time. And this was, I guess, during a study or something. And so when I think of what I do with boys in the cave of Adullam, one of the evaluations that I really pride myself on is that almost 80% of the boys in our academy improved their grade point average without tutoring, Mel. That's all because we may not have done this, but the principle is this. It's
Yes.
affirming who you are. You're good enough. The only mistake is the one you didn't learn from. And you know, a lot of times when we train, because everyone wants to look good. I don't care if you're doing martial arts, boxing, if you're a lawyer, you're a doctor, whatever, motivational speaker, you want to do the best that you can. And so I caught one day my boys really just condemning themselves. I'm like, hold on, stop. I said, can you make a mistake in practice? And they were like, yes, yeah, sure, sure. I said, how can you make a mistake in practice and it's practice? And they looked at me. I said, I want you guys.
Hold on. I need everybody to hear that.
Mhm,
I need everybody to hear that. How can you make a mistake in practice?
mhm,
It's practice.
And that's what,
Amazing.
and when they got that, they started operating outside of this judgment zone. No one else was judging them. It was themselves. They didn't think they did this throw right or the sweep or the punch. But once I freed them from that, gave them that mental high five, like, look, you got it. This is the space where you can be Superman. This is the space where trial and error is perfect. Let's do the best that you can. Once they had that freedom, Mel, they not only performed in our academy, they performed academically, they performed socially. And so, so when you get to the man, so that's where I am now. So it's so imperative that I help boys, because if we don't help them now, they turn into men with broken boys inside of them. And so we have to go back to these traumatic times in their lives that haven't healed, where they're still walking around with the father wound, the abandonment issues, the rejection issues, and it's preventing them from even approaching. I had one guy come to me scared. He's in great shape now, but because of all of the bullying he endured as a child, being obese, the woman that's in front of him that works with him that he adores, he wants to take her out. She likes him, but he's scared because he's allowed his trauma to time travel. He doesn't really give the man in the mirror a high five. Like, he may do it like you say, it's more than the action. It's about you believing it, that you deserve this celebration, that you deserve to be in a beautiful relationship with the woman that you desire. But until, our men can just break free from emotional incarceration, this mental prison with an open door. We know, every man would tell you, we can walk up at any given moment, flip the switch on and walk out. The problem is we're terrified of being vulnerable. And the high five, what it does, what I love about it, it's an introspective journey. It makes you start with yourself. And
Yes.
that's what's so powerful about this book.
Thank you. Well, I love hearing your perspective, Jason, because you are the embodiment of a high five. Like, when I think about a high five, it is powerful. It's optimistic. It's grounded in faith. It is hope. It is encouragement. It is strength. It is the belief that anybody can win.
Yeah.
It is the belief that you can face something, you can keep going, you can keep through. That's what it communicates. And the way that you show up, particularly for the boys that, you are transforming and coaching and nurturing and mentoring, and the books that you write, so the millions of people that you impact, you embody that. And you are correct that for me too, I'm Miss 5-second rule. I've been pushing through anxiety and pushing through fear and pushing through imposter syndrome. I've been pushing myself to the state of exhaustion using 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. I've been interrupting the negative thoughts. And as powerful as the 5-second rule has been, it has not and did not address the deep self-hatred that had become a habit, that I would look in the mirror, just like you would look in the mirror. And, I would see a person where I'm like, well, you don't got that much money yet. You don't live in that neighborhood yet.
Yeah.
You're not friends with those people yet. Oh, and don't forget, Mel, remember the time you were a cheater? Remember the time where you were a drinker? Remember the time where you hurt those people? Remember the time you squandered that opportunity? Like, I would literally stand in front of the mirror and I would say, because of either the things that were done to me or because of the things that I did that I'm ashamed of, that I would forgive Jason for, but I won't forgive myself for, because of those things, I don't deserve a high five. So I would withhold it from myself. And then when I went to go give it to myself, it's like, well, what have I done to deserve it? I mean, that was my husband Chris's experience, Jason. I started doing the high five in April 2020 as my business was falling apart and I was starting to just go down the rabbit hole of anxiety and like, why is this happening? And I turned to Chris and I said, I think you should try high fiving yourself in the mirror. I really feel a shift happening. I feel myself feeling optimistic. I feel my energy changing. I feel myself starting to change how I see myself. And he said, it's stupid. I'm not doing it. And I said, but I actually think the fact that you think it's stupid is tied to the core issue that's keeping you in a cage.
Yes.
Can you speak to that a little bit?
I mean, just this morning I shared on my Instagram, I'm in the gym, Mel. I didn't realize it till I was leaving. As I'm recording this video, I'm in the gym fighting thoughts. You don't deserve to be here. You got to do this. You got to help this person. You got to get your son ready. You have to get the nonprofit together. Hurry up and get out of here. You got 10 minutes for yourself. Run out of here. And I get to the car and I wanted to just be transparent and just to share, hey, this is an inner battle. I'm gonna let you see what this looks like and how I reflect, release so I can reset. In 2004, Mel, my best friend died of a heart attack. He was my weightlifting partner, best friend, confidant, just a beautiful guy, beautiful brother. And at that moment, I realized my lack of desire that I was good enough or worth enough to work out today was rooted in the trauma of losing my best friend who was always there. So what I had to realize was that what was happening to me on a subconscious level was I was seeing all of these people, guys working out together in groups, and my soul was yearning for my best friend.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and he's not there. And so he's gone. My that was just my brother, my spotter in the gym and my spotter in life. He's gone. I don't deserve this. This is nothing no more. Who am I? So you look in the mirror, you see the muscle, just it's not the same. The density is not there. This is what's crazy, Mel. I know exactly what to do to get right back there. But you get so comfortable with the condemnation that you just sit with it and you clothe yourself in it, because this is just real for me. It hurts more to push through it than to surrender to it.
Oh,
But the
oh, can
problem
I
is,
I
go ahead.
gotta just say, did you guys all hear that? He said you get so comfortable with the condemnation, you get clothed in it,
Mm-hmm.
that it's more comfortable to just surrender to the self condemnation than to move toward the painful thing that you've
Mm-hmm.
shoved down, the
Yeah.
grief.
Yes. And so here it is. I made it through this level. I'm like you said, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. This must be it. No, here's another journey for you, Mel. No, Jason, this is something else you have to go through. This is another war. This is something that you was covered that you didn't see until now. I need you to go back and revisit this so you can heal from it and become a comprehensive man in that area as well. And so that's what men deal with, because again, when your whole life you're told not to cry or no pain, no gain, that's not a universal principle. Okay. So if you apply no gain, no pain to your entire life, you soon won't have one. Or what doesn't kill you will make you stronger. Some things aren't meant, like pain, of course, I get it. It's sometimes we got to push through it, become stronger, especially if you're trying to build your muscle up. But pain is not always there for us to push through, but for us to think through. Like, what's going
Mm-hmm.
on? What's happening here? Why am I feeling this way? Maybe I don't need to be happy in this moment to push away this sadness, because maybe I said something to my wife that offended her. Maybe, I need to change this habit or something. But as long as we as men don't get comfortable with these emotions, when they arise, we run from them. And I tell men and young men that I work with, everybody wants to be hard, but we don't want to do what's hard. The hardest thing for every man, he'll tell you, it's not running through buildings with fires to save your family or bullets, whatever. It's going introspective and dealing with our own pain. That hurts, because you know why? It brings forth tears. Then you know what happens then subconsciously? You a punk. Why you crying? You're not strong. And now we have to
Mm.
push that away. And another thing we do, it's so much going on the subconscious level. A friend of mine could lose his mother and he's crying. We would give him a pound or hug him and say, stay strong. No one can stay strong all the time. No one. I know some great fighters, martial artists, firemen, police officers. No one can stay strong all the time. So subconsciously, what we're telling men, when you feel weak, to fake it. And as long as we keep faking it, we never truly become healed and whole. And so we settle for, again, this prison, this mental jail cell that we know we can walk out of, Mel. And so I encourage men, like, look, don't run out this door. When you get up off the bed in your mental jail cell, stay in that one step. Don't go anywhere. Stay there. You've been through a lot. Cry if you have to. Grieve if you have to. Talk to your wife. Go to your counselor, stay there, then take the next step, then take the next step. That's why I love what you do, because it's not a 7 steps to success program. You make it very clear this is something you need to do the rest of your life. And that's what this society needs to realize, is like, there is no quick fix to intergenerational trauma. You know, and what's the blessing about it? Trauma can be passed down, and so can healing. But we have to be willing to allow ourselves, like we'll say, man up, I say open up.
Oh, I love that. Well, you know, it's interesting that you say that, because there are a couple things that sort of happened, and Chris is very open about this, thankfully. And I think it's going to help him in his work. He leads men's retreats called Soul Degree. And I think that his going even deeper and really starting to talk openly, like, I have been struggling with depression. And when it first came up, it was so interesting to me, Jason, because here you've got a man who, from the outside, you would just immediately look at Chris and say, okay, he's a super nurturing guy. He's really connected to our 3 kids and to me. He's a yoga instructor, a certified Buddhist meditation
Wow.
trainer. He leads a men's retreat out in the wilderness. Like, if there were ever a man that was in touch with himself, and Chris is, it would be him. And yet, like you, it was surprising for me to hear that even you, in trying the high five habit and standing in front of the mirror and going to raise your hand and feeling that resistance to it, because you didn't have a father figure that did that for you. What happened for Chris is that when he started to really, you know, after he said, well, this is stupid, I'm not high-fiving myself, and we kind of pulled on that yarn, what happened is he started to really talk about the fact that, you know, I'm a failure. I literally did not do what I set out to do in the restaurant business. I can't forgive myself for the fact that it didn't return a profit. I feel like I lost people money. I have never been happy in my career. I did not live up to my dad's expectations. Like, the pile-on just became just like suffocating. And now I have depression. Am I broken? That was his sort of unpack, and then could lead it all the way back to feeling completely invisible as a young boy. And so the stuff goes deep, and all of that was what was wrapped up in, when I look in the mirror, I don't see somebody who deserves a high five. And one of the things that I'm excited about is that all of the programming with the high five is in your brain and your nervous system. So you can stand before a mirror and be like, I'm depressed and broken and a failure and I've screwed up my whole life. But when you start to go and raise your hand, it's an act of defiance that silences all of that. And all of the positive programming that has been in your brain and your nervous system from high-fiving everybody else actually overrides the condemnation. And it aims the positive programming and the dopamine and the surge of energy that goes through your nervous system back at you. And what my wish is that when people start to make this a habit, I have experienced something extraordinary. And that is this. I too was resistant to this. I too thought it was stupid. I kept doing it because I was in a really low place and I could feel my soul shifting. And then I started to realize that every morning in the mirror, or every morning in the bathroom, there's 2 people in there. There's you and there's a human being in the mirror. And that human being needs you. And they're trying awfully hard. And they are tired of you beating themselves up, and they're tired of you condemning them, and they're tired of you picking apart everything that's going wrong, and they're tired of you not being there supporting them. They're waiting for you to wake up and to see them and to start cheering for them and to start celebrating them. It's that little boy in the broken man. And as I started to continue to raise my hand, I literally felt myself coming back home. I felt myself reconnecting with the power and the source of all of your power, which is being connected to yourself, feeling whole, knowing that if I raise my hand and my positive programming kicks in and the dopamine kicks in, and through the gesture alone, like, because, what does a high five mean when you give somebody a high five, Jason?
It means you're doing well. It means congratulations, I'm celebrating you. And what's even great, Mel, you even see coaches give players high fives when they make mistakes, when they don't make that shot, because of the same principle of what you're saying. It still is an encouraging gesture. And so that's power in and of itself. And
Correct.
that just hit me as you were saying that.
How did
Wow.
that hit you in terms of the power? Because you're right, with my husband, Chris, or anybody, every
Yeah.
human being,
Yes.
like 50% of us can't look in the mirror. So if you're standing in judgment or condemnation, what happens when you raise your hand is it doesn't erase all the stuff that you regret. It doesn't fix all your problems. What happens is it changes something inside of you, because the high five isn't like, yeah, it's literally, I see you. I know this is hard. And guess what? Just like that coach with the player who missed the shot, I still believe in you. I'm still going to encourage you. And I'm still going to send you back in that game because I know that you can do better.
And that happened, Mel, and I believe it was in the finals. The Phoenix Suns coach, I can't think of his name, his player was really down on himself. And he high-fived him, but he was high-fiving him mentally and pouring into him. And when he sent them back out there, they won the game. And so the principle, like I said, it's something that, especially as men, it's something we can do every day, even if it's not quick, but just for me to just press my hand and just hold it there. That's even deeper. What are you feeling now? Because then, and me just doing this, I'm starting to feel a lot of emotions. Because now you're connecting with yourself. It's nothing greater than saying, I love myself. You are great. You're working. You're constantly evolving. Or I don't have to say a word and just keep my hand there until it's time for me to take it off. So I did it this morning. I'm gonna do it before bed. I think it's good for me actually before bed as well, because that's when I meditate. But to let myself know the day is complete. A lot of men stay up late at night because we're trying to complete things that's what tomorrow is for. But because we live from what we do instead of who we are, we're constantly working. And so for me to implement this in the evening, just to place my hand there, I don't have to say too much, just keep my hand there. Say, you're good enough. You did everything you could do today, and it was good. And just to let go and then go sit down and meditate, pray, and release it. It enhances the self-connection. And in this society, we need more people, especially on social media, who love themselves. And, we are constantly comparing ourselves to certain people, what they're doing, what we're not doing, how they look, instead of being thankful of how we look, what we're able to do. We're able to breathe and we're able to walk and talk. And so I think just placing your hand, for one, we already know what it does to high five yourself. High five and stay there. It's like when my wife and I went through marital counseling, the psychotherapist asked us to face each other, connect our legs together, and hold our hands together. That connection. So imagine doing that with yourself, because it removes all condemnation once you connect there with your significant other. I mean, like you're saying, the science is there when we do it with ourselves, and practice that.
I love what you're saying. I absolutely love what you're saying. I love adding it in the evening. And I want to just say one thing for those of you that are like, but what if I don't know what to say? Or what if I don't love myself? Or what if I don't think I deserve it? I think Jason's point, because if you're not feeling anything when you do this, I think it takes less than 5 days for this to fundamentally shift how you experience yourself, because the science is so profound around the dopamine and the nervous system and all the positive programming that literally is, you could not high five somebody and go, I hate you. You just can't do it. It doesn't, like, your brain is not wired to even think it. That's why your mind goes silent as you get closer to pressing the mirror. And I think that for people that are kind of, well, I don't really feel anything yet, it's because you're going too fast. You're not doing what Jason's doing. The moment is to actually slow down for a second and just be with yourself, the human being that's staring back at you, and to then raise your hand and do the high five as a way to connect or seal an intention, but do it slowly. Because you know what happens when you try to high five somebody and you kind of miss each other's hands?
Yes.
You always
That's so
redo it.
good. That's
Yeah,
so
right?
good.
And the
Yes.
reason why you redo it is because a high five has a purpose and an intention behind it.
Yes. Yes. Yes.
Do not rush this. This is a moment for you.
Mm, mm. This is so good. I had to talk about this. It's on page 20, was it 23 of your book? It says the high five is not just for sports. We need to be seen, supported, and celebrated at work too. Our nonprofit, the union, we just had a staff retreat, and one thing we had talked about, and actually we had a psychotherapist who counsels Nicole and I to come to talk with our staff so we can just have an open floor discussion. And that's one thing we realized is that we didn't celebrate each other. Work hard writing grants and serving, running through program cycles, but there was no celebration really at the end of everything. We would celebrate at the end of the year, the beginning of the year, but let's celebrate after everything. And so when I read that, I'm like, oh wow, my entire staff stressed that. And then I had to be honest. I said, I'm just going to be honest with you guys. The reason it doesn't come from me a lot is because I wasn't celebrated. Do you understand? I
Yeah.
said, but that doesn't mean it's right. I said, this is something I need to change. But I'm telling you, that's why I had to slow down. Anyone who has this book, do not speed read. It's not a race. No, serious. Because look, a lot of times we just want to finish a book. Hey, that's
It's
a
true.
goal. Yes, I finished. I say study a book. This isn't a novel. This is something you should study. And I highlight and I redline. I mean, I don't know if you can see it, but I underline because I like teaching and I love learning. And when you stop making yourself wrong, I underline wrong for how you're feeling, you immediately feel better. Like I tell men, just because something is wrong with you doesn't mean something is wrong with you. So I can stay right here for one day. I don't need to flip the page because I need to meditate on this right here a little longer because I tend to put the bar too high for myself. It's like I get aiming high because if you're throwing a dart across a room, the higher you aim, eventually the trajectory is going to drop down and hit the bullseye. But if your target is where the roof is, it's like it's not attainable. So I just say everyone who gets this book, take your time with it and don't rush. It's not a race to finish this. Take your time with it and digest everything that Mel is teaching, and that's why I'm taking my time with it, and so but yeah, it's all a process, and we have to be gracious with ourselves through that process. And until we, again, like I said, I'm doing it this evening, until we can just sit there in the mirror, look ourselves in the eyes, let ourselves talk, let the soul cry out. What hurt you today? What hurt you 10 years ago? What's stopping you from loving yourself? That's when I believe we can really find the transformation we desire.
Oh, Mr. Jason Wilson.
Mrs.
Everybody is
Mel
asking what
Robbins.
his book is. His book is Battle Cry, everybody, and Cry Like a Man. And it is an extraordinary read. And I don't think it's only for men. I actually think women need to buy it for the sons and brothers and, partners in their life and colleagues in their life to understand and help them master emotions. And I certainly, and Chris has certainly gotten a tremendous amount out of your work, Jason. For everybody asking, yes, we are going to save this live. And yes, Jason, we will send you the clip so that you can
Please.
do whatever you want with
Yes,
it.
I have to reshare this definitely on my social media. This is again, every time that I'm with you, it's just amazing. I want to thank you again for just always believing in me, always pushing me to not just believe in myself, Mel, but say you're great. Like Like, I don't know if you remember when I was on your talk show, you said he is the nation's leader in
It's true.
emotion or something. So listen, I want you to look at my facial expression when you said that. I'm like, really? But you spoke that life into me. You did. Look at the clip. My face. I'm like, dang, And then, and
You're like, that sounds good. That
yeah,
sounds good. We'll go with that. We'll go with
yeah.
that. What she
And
said.
so I'm like, and I made myself believe it, so I want to thank you for that. You're always, and look, I know that you, Chris, you have real moments, just like I do, Nicole.
Oh my God.
Everyone's on here, but I
Why the
think,
hell do you think I needed to start high-fiving my ass? I mean, come on.
but I thank you for showing up in the moment for others. It's sacrificial, it's selfless, and it needs to be celebrated. So I high five you
Oh,
because
I high-five you
you,
right
yeah,
back. I
yeah,
love
yeah,
you. I
yeah.
love you. I love you.
And you deserve it, and you push
Thank
through
you.
your anxiety, everything that hurts, when you fall down, Mel is getting back up. And so I just wanted to encourage you, my friend, just for being the beautiful person you are. And tell Chris I look forward to going on one of the retreats with him as well.
Oh, I see you guys leading a bunch of things together. I mean, he
Yes.
does need
Uh-oh.
the nation's, he does need the world's leading expert on men's emotional health and wellness. Yes, he
Yeah.
does. Yes, he does. Look at how bright Jason's smile just got. Feel that. Let that fill you
Yeah,
up.
and I'm
And
gonna
that title's
receive
not
it.
even big enough. Notice I went the world's leading expert. The world's leading expert. Everybody grab Jason's book. Make sure you follow him. Jason, I love you. Thank you for taking time out
Oh
tonight.
man.
Give everybody in your family a big old hug from me. I cannot wait to see you in real life to give you not only a big old high five, but I want one of your famous bear hugs too. All right.
You're definitely going to get it. I love you so much, Mel, and just thank you for who you are. Not what you do, but who you are. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you, Daron. All
Yeah,
right,
bye-bye.
everybody. We'll see you tomorrow. Good night. High five.
Bye-bye.